there's Poway folks coming in on the globe in the upper left-hand corner. We come into the United States.
Yes.
And then we are stuck in the extreme southwestern corner.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then Poway, that's a county, by the way, San Diego County. Poway is damn near in the center of San Diego County.
It is.
All right. Which has a lot of interest to it. Okay. So that's where I like to get my perspective started, is from this outer view and zooming in on the little city of Poway.
Mm-hmm.
So that little area, let's go to the next slide. I was in District 4 when I first moved to Poway. I rented the property. I was not able to buy a house in those days. Okay, so I rented a piece of property in South Poway, District 4, which has become District 4.
Mm-hmm.
And I got attracted to the city of Poway because it was becoming its own city to have control over its area. So it wouldn't become part of San Diego and just be steamrolled.
Mm.
Okay, there was just way too much construction taking place in those days.
That's when Mira Mesa was going crazy.
Going nuts.
Yeah.
All right.
I remember that.
So when I started to see things in Poway going a certain way, such as the South Poway Industrial Park, and I couldn't miss it because where I was living was on Hill Country Drive. I had a beautiful view of what was going to become the South Poway Industrial Park. So I fought against it because I wanted to protect the views that I had. I'd moved here for the open space, all right? And yet here they were putting an industrial park into it. So then I found out about the bad thing about open space. We lost and the industrial park started to go in. But the concession that we had worked out with everybody was from Poway Road, the main drag through Poway Road, you wouldn't be able to see anything in the industrial park. Everything was going to be built off the hilltops.
See, I've heard this story a number of times.
Okay.
So the question is, how was that promise made? Was it just a flippant remark at a city council meeting, or was it in the legislation?
No, I think it was a flippant remark.
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know. I never dug into it to find out. Okay.
Because it's interesting because
I moved.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
I moved over to Golden Way,
mm-hmm.
where I had a beautiful hill that was blocking my view of the industrial park, no matter what they did with it. And that was property that I owned. Okay. I finally got up enough scratch to make a down payment on a piece of property. And I bought a fixer-upper. This was a Navy duplex that was built in World War II, and they'd moved it to Poway to become a house on a piece of property.
They moved the whole building?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So my master bedroom was actually the living room of one of the duplexes. My living room, the real living room, was the real living room, dining room, and kitchen.
Right.
But our closet for the master bedroom was the old kitchen and dining room for the duplex. Of course, there was a wall that separated the two that were busted down, and it was a lot of work. But I had a good time at it. Fighting with city council, being allowed to do what I wanted to do with this duplex house that was on the property. And it was tough. The other thing was I took advantage of the other open space here in Poway, which is where I live now. That was all open space when I first moved here.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
All right. There was a nice little pond in the springtime when the rains came. Well,
That was at Star Ridge, wasn't it?
Yeah, well, it was.
Because wasn't there like a pond there?
Yeah. But only during the wet time of the year.
Right.
It evaporated and went away. But it was enough for my dog to have a good time in.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
But so when they started talking about developing that area, I fought against that too.
Right.
So I'm feeling a little guilty living there for the last 30 years.
Well, you improved it with candy cane courts, right?
Yeah, I'm kind of paying it back.
Yeah, there you go.
But you evolve, and that's what I wanted to bring up on that
Sure.
PowerPoint presentation.
Let's bring this
slide
back up
2
here.
Was I fought against, I was adversarial in all the city council meetings that I went to. I fought against the South Poway Industrial Park. I fought against the Palisades, this, that, and the other thing I fought about. But in 2018, I ran for city council. Okay. And didn't accept any money. Just, I think it's a couple of $100 that I gave in myself to put the sign on the top of Calypso.
Yeah.
But I toured through most of the streets of what District 1 has become. And I told you about talking to people. And that's when it got driven home to me, is how the hell does a city council person speak for all the people in the district when they're all thinking separate things based on where they live?
Right.
Okay. I was changing the way I thought about things at one end of District 4, and I had a completely separate set of thinking for when I was at the east end of District 4, and now I'm in District 1, and I'm just like everybody else. My yays turn to nays, and my nays turn to yays, back and forth, depending on where I am.
Yeah, of course, because different issues affect you differently.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we had one candidate that ran for city council who used to stand out on Poway Road on the way out of town, and he waved to everybody. He got elected. All right. But the only people that saw him were the people that were commuting back and forth. All right. But he got elected. He saw a lot of people. People thought, this guy's impressive. Give him a job so he doesn't have to sit out there on the side of the road waving at us. All right. I remember my wife saying that. I'm voting for him. Why? To get him a job, to get him off the damn street. I can remember things like that. But the thing that got driven home to me in the 2018 run was, how does one guy speak on behalf of an entire district of thousands of people?
Yeah. And the district is so diverse.
Yeah. Let's go to the next slide. Breaking them down, all right, you got to find out where each district's concentration is. What makes that up? Okay. They did a great job of going in to the registrar of voters, plus the topography, plus the developments that had taken place. And they broke it down into the 4 districts. They're done spectacularly. The only errors that I see them making are things that were forced upon them by the registrar of voters, how they divided up the different things. All right. But you can really figure out, I mean, if you look at the vote totals that came in for Proposition P and Proposition H, where's the majority of the voters? Where did that take place?
Well, I mean,
District 2.
Yeah, because that's where the
To
issues were.
some degree, District 3.
Right.
Lesser and lesser the further you get away from the farm.
Okay. I buy off on that.
So this is something you have to understand about the composition of the districts themselves. Okay. But then the districts themselves are dependent upon the voters' registration, how they're broken up, precinct and by voting district.
Right.
Okay. Let's go to the next slide. If you examine that and this last election, and I have dug into it, there are 6 sections in District 1 that get represented in the numbers.
Are those precincts?
Precincts.
Okay.
But each of them is divided up.
Oh.
All right. For a total of 21 separate areas.
Oh.
All right. So I'm saying, this is it. This is how this can work. We can break down these regions into smaller and smaller sectors so that we can get a group of people in a neighborhood like Butterwood Court
Mm-hmm.
or Candy Cane Courts together speak to one particular aspect because they have that visibility, that sensitivity to particular issues.
Right.
If we can figure out a way to segment that properly and then get representatives, neighborhood spokespersons to speak on behalf of the commuters, the people that don't have the time to bother with Poway politics, the ones that are driving in and out of town, who could care less about what's going on in Poway, except, holy shit, that's a big, tall building. I don't like that. It's too late. The building's up. But if we can get in on the ground floor of what these developments are with a voting public that's educated and centralized, that's what I want to work to.
So this to me is a really revolutionary idea in local government, because usually we elect a representative. Back in the day they were at large, they could live anywhere in Poway. Now we got district representatives, which I like that concept. But what you're proposing is that the elected council person doesn't necessarily vote for what they want. Instead, you want to listen
to the
neighborhoods and collect data and information and input from them to inform you as a council member on the right way to represent your constituency.
That's my plan.
That's cool. See, no one does that. I mean, officially. I mean, maybe some people do it sort of on the down low, unofficially.
The mechanics don't. I gotta get this off.
Hey, you look good in that hat.
But, yeah. Okay. Santa come back after November. But this is an idea that's been kicking around in my head, and with the panic of the current appointment, all right, here's what I'm going to say as a person going for the appointment. The major reason that an election was tossed out the window for speaking sake, for somebody that was talking about it at the moment, well, that's a lot of money. That's cost too much to have a special election. They're talking hundreds of thousands of dollars. And so I'm going to say, as an appointee person, knowing that I get an opportunity to maybe put a good plan in place, all right, you could take some of my salary and pay for the special election with some of that. I'll put what you're going to pay me as a city councilman, put that towards a special election for District 1. All right. Not all of the money, but it's some of it. In exchange for that, I'll act on behalf of the city council person, and I will put into place this concept of neighborhood representation. I got it figured out. I just got to get to work at it. But I can't work at it without an official capacity.
Right.
So as a city council person, maybe I can get the latitude to work with the city manager, to work with the voters registration, and move some lines so things get set up correctly. All right. That's the plan. Let's go to the next slide in the PowerPoint.
Okay. Let's bring that back up here and here.
All right. They submitted a bunch of letters. In the last city council meeting, almost 300 people asked for special elections.
300? How did those 300 people identify themselves? What did they do?
Through an automated process on a website that Hiram Soto set up.
Really?
To generate a letter that would go to the city council saying, we want a special election.
Right on. And good on Hiram for doing that.
All over, fantastic for Hiram.
Yeah. That's great.
I'm a little upset with him that he didn't put in for an appointment. All right. But anyway, I'm sure he's thinking about running.
Yeah.
All right.
I expect he would.
And I will support him. So I got curious about all these people that were being listed on the official records now of the city clerk as to who was. And so I don't want you to look too close at these pictures here. All right. Because there's a little 1 dot for all the people in District 1. I didn't do the ones for District 2 or District 3 or District 4. I just did the
That's
District
a lot of
1.
dots in District 1.
It's neighborhood representation.
There it is.
Look at it.
Yeah.
The people who care enough about a special election sent in an automated letter. Took them 2 minutes on a website to send that letter in. That's not a big effort. If we created a website as a part of the city of Poway for everybody in the districts to communicate directly on a do this type of letter or whatever, for whatever issues on the table, the city council then can act on their behalf directly.
Yeah. See, this is part of the innovative idea that you're bringing forward. I mean, all of those dots on that map, every one of them could be people that you would be talking to on a regular basis. They might formally submit their opinion on a website that you created, or maybe they just swap emails with you, but you're getting input from the people. And there you go. There you already getting started.
Of the people.
Mm-hmm.
Opinions of the people. All right. On whose benefit? City of Poway has a great GIS mapping system that I used to look at District 1. Breaks it down by that particular area. All right. So we can get those people down on a map, all right, and know exactly what the issues are. There's one that's not shown in this presentation that I'd like to pop up.
Okay.
Okay. I'm going to bring this up out of my notebook, and it's fuzzy on purpose, folks, because I don't want anybody to get the information on it.
You've done a lot of research for this. This is awesome. This is awesome. Oh, you were showing this to me earlier.
All right. There's an issue right now before going through the city, Jack, and they want to put a stop sign on Carriage Road. Carriage Road's the main access for me, by the way.
Right.
Okay. But the people that want to put this stop sign in, look where the flags are. Nobody up here in the other areas of Carriage Road are possibly even aware of this. I didn't become aware of it until 2 days ago.
Yeah. So how did these people say they wanted a stop sign?
By letter.
They wrote a letter to the city council?
Yeah.
Really? So it's public record. That's how you got it. And then you plotted them on a map?
Yeah.
But did they only ask people like in a real tight proximity to that intersection on Carriage Road?
I don't know how they did it, but they did it.
Interesting.
If they had if people had automatic mechanism to communicate yes, no, maybe on a percentage basis at a neighborhood level, when we already know where they are, all right, we can get issues distributed automatically, and the council person can then determine what those percentages are.
That is really cool. Let me bring up the map again, because this is an innovative idea.
Okay.
Of the people, for the people, by the people.
It breaks down that way.
Right. See, this is something, because you hear this comment from a lot of people on a lot of constituents here in Poway, including you, that say, my city council representative doesn't listen to me. I go to the city council meeting and I get in front of the public comments for 3 minutes, and they don't seem to care.
There's a certain degree of that, but keep in mind, my opinion. Let's go to the next slide. I think it is. Yeah. How am I going to sort this all out? Well, here's a situation where I'm going to go to the city council and present a vote. I'm going to say yes or no to an issue that's before the city council. But I've got this tool now that tells me on a percentage basis of what the people's interest is. All right. So on the extreme left there, if 70% of the people are in favor of this thing, I'm probably going to say yes.
Yeah.
But there's 20 people that said no.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Nobody's speaking for them. It appears that nobody's speaking for them. It's my responsibility as city council person to say, hey, you're part of the 20 percentile. All right. 70% of the people want this. All right. Unfortunately, I've got to go with yes, because I got to satisfy the majority of the people.
But you could at least explain that in your vote. And then
Absolutely.
and then the people that maybe are in the 20% will at least they'll be acknowledged and
Correct.
respected, and they'll be listened to.
Right. Now let's go to the middle decision. I got 50% says yes. Okay. And what did I say there? 20% said no. Same 20% says no. But not 70% won yes, only 50%. I'm just there on the hairy ass threshold. All right. So maybe I got to talk to those people, the yeses and the nos, to find out what there is about that. Is there something we could change? All right. About that particular issue. And yeah, maybe it doesn't go through, whatever, but I can cast my vote, yes or no, if this was to take place. All right. So the contractor goes back and says, oh, shit, I got to get 6 more parking spots for this particular house I want to build. Well, that's what he's going to do. All right. He's going to go to a 3-car garage instead of a 1-car garage. All right. But he's got the word. People can make progress. And the population, the neighbors who are going to have to put up with that issue in their area, they had a say in it directly.
So again, this to me is cool, but I want to ask you just a couple of hypotheticals.
Okay.
So let's say, for
You
example,
didn't let me cover the no vote.
oh, pardon me. Yeah, go for it.
30% of the people say yes.
Yeah.
All right. 40% of the people said no. Neither one of them over 50. I'm going to say no, because the larger number, 40% said no.
Okay.
That's how I break it down.
I understand. Okay.
All right.
So this again is also very innovative in terms of usually candidates are elected, or maybe in your case appointed, because of what their agenda is. And then typically when they vote, when they get on council and they make votes, they typically follow their agenda that they campaigned on. Now, you're saying is that you don't have an agenda other than listening to the people and representing their agenda.
Correct.
Interesting.
But what I also bring with me is 4 years of thinking about how I get neighborhood representation to work. All right. So if I'm appointed, I'll have maybe a month or 2 in the least amount to put this into place. That's long enough to talk. That's what I do for a profession, is I talk to programmers. Make the website do this. Make the website do that. I can lay that all out. That's what I do for a living. Okay. I'm constantly talking to programmers on how to do stuff. I got it all in my head and I got it all written down. So that's what I bring to the table now, is I just need the opportunity to sit down and do that. Now, if it takes me 2 years, it takes me 2 years.
Well, this is part of the idea that you bring to the table. I think it's refreshing. It's innovative. You're listening to the people, you're representing their wishes, and you're proactively hunting them out to get their input.
Right.
Okay. But let's just say that a particular issue, the people said, okay, 60% yes, 40% no. But you personally have a real problem with it. And it like violates your moral code. But the people, 60% yes, you would still vote with the people's way.
That's exactly what I would say. And I want to impress that upon you. I'm the son of an Episcopalian minister. Okay. This story goes way back. My dad lost his position as a clergyman for a church because of church and state. He was running a school, tutoring school in the church at night to help the kids that needed help in school learn things. He had tutors and stuff. And the bishop said, no, you can't do that. That's mixing church and state. He says, but my kids, my parish kids are falling down on the curve because other places are. I got to compete with them. I've got to get my kids trained. He lost his position.
Oh.
All right. We had a thing called an every member canvas where they came around and asked people how much they give to the church. Well, guess what? They came to my house. My dad's sitting there in the living room. That was a little embarrassing for them, but they asked me, he says, well, Peter, he says, you're going to continue going to St. Luke's? And I said, yeah. And they said, okay. We understand that you're now working for Mackenzie Walton Dimensional Tube. And I said, yeah, as a part-time job after school. I'm working for this tubing company. Well, then you should be making this amount, so you should give this amount to the church. I said, no. I says, I give to the church what I feel the church needs. It's my donation to the church. They said, well, yeah, that's the way your dad set it up, but we're changing it. So we're going to do it on a percentage of income.
Oh, like tithing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I said, well, I'm sorry that you're doing that. And they said, well, we're going to put you down for this much. I says, I ain't going.
It sounds like a tax.
It's the last time I went to church in my life.
Really? Yeah.
Yeah. So I will say at the city council meeting in this situation, 60% of the people want yes. 20% want no. I'm voting yes on behalf of my neighbors. It's not my vote.
Would there ever be a situation where you would have to break a tie, or like it was 51-49? Would you make a judgment call?
That middle situation is where I say I get up and I talk a lot.
Okay.
That there's got to be an extenuating situation here. We've got to change something to get the numbers to work right. All right. So that I can say yes. Otherwise, I'm voting no. If I can't get it so the majority wins, the larger number of people win, then it's a no vote.
Okay.
So
again, this is spectacular. I mean, nobody does this. And I think the voters would be thrilled to see that there was a council member that was actually hunting them down to get their input.
Let's go to the next slide. I'm totally dependent on how these places break down. All right. I got some repair work to do also. Look in the lower right corner there. That's District 1 on the north side. You see the red lines?
Yeah.
Those are precinct boundary lines, voter precinct boundary lines.
Okay.
Goes down the middle of the street.
Okay.
That means that the guy on the other side of the street from you will not be voting through the same system, precinct, whatever, that you will. Maybe your best friend. I don't know. You get along with your neighbor across the street? But my concept here is one of the things I want to do is just shift the lines over so they do not break up neighborhoods. All right. Keep the neighborhoods intact. So it means several trips to the registrar of voters. Can we move this line right over here? We may have to merge some areas together, but that's one of the things that'll have to take place in order for this to make sense. Fortunately, District 1 is really easy. There's an area here in Poway, you used to live down there, where Garden Road is divided up between Districts 2, 3, and 4.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
Down the middle of the streets of the neighborhood.
Right.
All right. That's got to be fixed. Now, did the city of Poway do a bad job when they put in Districts 2, 3, and 4? They did the best they could. They were following the voter registration lines. It's the voter registration lines that are screwed up.
Yeah, the precincts. Yeah.
All right. I mean, that little area where you had your house on the very end, totally separate.
Yeah, because we used to live in Sycamore Creek, and the older part of Garden Road community, we all, regardless if we lived in Sycamore Creek or the older Garden Road community, we all had the same issues, with traffic and everything else in that community. So it made sense that all should be one district.
Should be.
So there's a single council member that can represent everybody.
Correct.
But yeah, that's split in pieces. I remember, what was it? Bernie was the one that highlighted that to us a long time ago.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's, yeah. So, but it's interesting, when they drew the lines originally, it seemed like they were trying to make sure that the number of voters was roughly the same, and the demographic profile, like age, ethnicity, income, etc., were roughly the same.
They did a very, very good job. I mean, it's an absolutely spectacular job.
Just needs a little fine tuning.
Need some fine tuning.
Yeah.
Now, here's a situation where I'm going for an appointment to District 1, which is a temporary, hopefully a temporary issue. I might as well make that announcement too. If I'm appointed, okay, I am going to carry out the office of City Council by listening to the neighborhoods of District 1 and speaking on their behalf at City Council meetings. The other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to work on getting neighborhood representation worked out. Whether I'm allowed to do that for 1 month or 2 months, this is a task that I want to see done. District 1 happens to be, coincidentally, the easiest one to work out towards neighborhood representation. District 2, a little tougher. District 3, oh, very hard.
Mm-hmm.
And District 4, yeah, it's going to need some work.
There's a lot of changing going on in
But
District
I'll
4.
be glad to work with whoever wishes to in those districts to get what I do for District 1 to work in District 2, 3, and 4. So the city of Poway can work exactly the same.
Okay. Now, devil's advocate. Okay.
Mhm.
One of the objections that some people have to the notion of who draws the lines is that politicians end up choosing their voters rather than voters choosing their politician. What's your take on that?
I'm a Jeffersonian Republican.
Okay.
That answers that question.
How so?
Party doesn't exist.
No, this has nothing to do with party. No, but it's just that usually when elected representatives are drawing the lines, often they are drawing the lines to benefit themselves, to make it easier for them to be reelected.
I'm not going to be reelected. I'm not going to run for.
There you go. Okay, that's the answer to that question then.
Yeah, I think I already mentioned that I'm not.
Yeah, you're right.
to,
You're right. You're right.
at the end of when I get replaced by the winning candidate of an election, be it normal or special, I'm done.
So you're like a temporary placeholder until
That's
the people can speak.
Until the people can speak.
Right.
That's the way I'm looking at it. Let's
Right
go to
on.
the next slide.
Okay. Let's bring that one up next. Here we go.
Next slide. This one's really easy. This is the entrance to Poway, District 1, north side of Poway Road. That's that square.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's go to the next slide. There it is. There's my neighborhood of the bottom part of that section represented by neighbors. Let's find people that can act and speak for their neighborhoods. They're already there in the books. You can see them. They write letters into the city council. All we have to do is get them identified.
Right.
And once they're identified, we give them the code number so they can access the website and put in how their neighborhood feels about each and every issue that hits them in the face.
This is like birds of a feather flock together.
Exactly.
Right. So where is that? Where we see on the map, is that dark line Poway Road?
At the bottom.
Right.
Yep.
Okay.
That's the separation between District 1 and District 4.
Okay.
The pink area over there on the right-hand side,
Yeah.
that's the shopping center. Nobody's living there. This is all what I'm saying. This is what's great about the City of Poway's GIS mapping programs. They've got this all laid out. They show you where the houses are. They show you where the businesses are. They show you what the residential ratings are.
Right on.
All right. I know all this by looking at a map. I can figure out where to drop the line. Where are the apartment complexes?
So this is cool. I mean, this is like a council member that not only is representing the people, but doing the due diligence and the hard work to dig up the data and figure everything out and do a deep dive in every little nook and cranny of the district.
What if they put something on the table that's only affects people in apartment buildings? How is the city going to approach those people? This will be a system where they can do that.
Yeah, like for like water rates or something like that, it would affect apartment people different than, people that own a single family home.
Absolutely.
Yeah, definitely. Interesting.
Anyway, that's what I want to put on the table. How are we doing? Anybody asking any questions?
We do have questions, so let's do that. There's a couple of comments here.
Finish off this presentation. Let's go to the last slide.
Okay, one more slide. There it is.
There's where we are, folks. We've got right now the map on the left shows District 1 broken down by voter district, all 21 of them. It says 22 because it's off the spreadsheet, but there's 21 separate little voting districts that are going to be massaged out. And I'll take that task on.
So each of those are subsets of precincts?
Correct.
Interesting. Those
21 fit into the 6 that get reported on
the 6 precincts.
Correct.
See, this is news to me because I didn't realize that precincts were officially broken into smaller chunks.
Yeah.
But they are.
They are.
So it might just be like moving a few puzzle pieces around and you can get the lines where you want them.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Go back to the full camera again. I did a lousy job of this. I'm really sorry, but I couldn't help it.
Pete, you've done so much. I mean, this is awesome. This
All right.
is really
I'm going to show you. Everybody in the audience is tough.
It's a little bit. Be careful of the reflection on the.
Yeah. Well, okay. Remember I said that street in the Palisades that goes.
See if you can get a little closer to the camera. That's going to be hard for people
I
to
don't
see.
want people to see.
Oh. Okay.
You see this little street right here?
Yeah.
That's a boundary line goes right down the middle of the street.
Oh.
All right.
Is that the main road that goes around the Palisades?
Yeah, correct.
Yeah.
All right. This one doesn't. It's got a green line to the east of the homes, and it's got a green line to the west of the homes.
Yeah. So the green lines are in the canyons.
So this is a misplaced line. So what I'm saying is eliminate that line, take that out, use the green one over here. Now you've got all these people voting together.
There you go. There you go. Yeah.
It's not rocket science.
Right. Yeah.